Are you ready for aliens? Because that's what you're about to get on this episode of the BullRun podcast. Dee Dee is one of the most interesting people that I know. We're going to talk about the Zeta and just aliens in general. It was a fun conversation, and she is such a unique person. I'm going to touch back up with her in like a year, maybe sooner. A lot of these people that I've been interviewing, I have enjoyed so much having these conversations with. Like, subscribe, follow if I have a Patreon by this point. If you want some perks or something, keep me committed to doing these. I'd really like this to be an income. And yeah, enjoy this episode of the BullRun podcast. You're about to meet someone who I think is channeling aliens into this substrate of reality. Super cool person. Yeah, enjoy it. This is the BullRun podcast. You're here with Dee Dee and Spencer Lowry. Look at this. Is it kitty galaxies? What's going on?
Yeah, it's Galaxy Kitties.
Galaxy kitties.
It's actually called Dreamy Planetarium.
Oh, man.
It's a fancy Japanese dress that costs a lot of money.
Oh.
And I had to, special order it from Japan. And it's not available in the U.S. unless you find someone who happens to have it and buy it secondhand.
Oh, man. Did you have to, give, all the measurements for it?
Well, they didn't, special make it for me.
Oh, okay.
I just bought it.
You just bought it.
But it's hard to get these things in the U.S.
Yeah. I have a friend, Charlene, that will probably, eat this up. She dressed in, real cute, kind of I don't want to say chibi anime kind of things.
That's
going.
So cute.
And I'm like, oh, she's one of those people that's so cute. You just want to squeeze her to death.
Kawaii.
Kawaii. Yeah.
That's the word. She's kawaii.
She's kawaii, but also I have cute aggression. So with babies and stuff, I'm like, oh, I just want to squeeze and bite you. But she's one of those adults that I have that. I'm like, oh.
You're so cute, I'll strangle you.
Yeah, I'm like, that is not a good internal pulse.
Just don't do that to kitties.
Just don't do it to kitties. I've never acted out upon it, so.
Keep it in check.
Keep it in check, because I'm it's never been a real thing I would have done, but it's you do have the urge, when you hold a baby, you'd be like, oh, and I'm like, what is that?
Abuse.
Abuse? It's a very strange thing. It's so weird. And I grew up in a happy home too. We all have cute aggression though, so.
I just want to snuggle cute things.
Nah.
Not people though. Cats.
Cats. Only cats. No
Only
dogs.
Cats. Yeah, not kids. Stuffed animals. I like to snuggle cute stuffed animals.
So I watched your YouTube, and you think the way you dress and the stuff like that is from a higher. I want to know this. I want it worded out to me.
Well, I say that.
You say that
because it's funny and weird and not normal. But that's kind of how I dress is weird and not normal. So I like to say that it is from the aliens, from the hybridization program.
I like to play with that idea, Star Children and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I like that concept. It makes it maybe a little egotistic, but I like the idea. I'm like, I might be an indigo or whatever,
Yeah. And I guess that's kind of what I model what I do after.
Okay.
So I go by Dee Dee ZETA.
Dee Dee ZETA.
And Zeta is obviously from Zeta Reticuli, which is a star system where the Zeta aliens are from. Do you know that?
Mm-mm.
Or you know about this lore?
I have no idea about this lore.
Lore or I mean, people who believe in aliens, they if they are like into it and like aware and like watch different like I wouldn't say specialists, but what would you call them?
Depends on who you ask. Some people will say that they're crackpots, and then others will say, no, these people are on the right direction.
Yeah. So there's all different like aliens from all different places according to who you talk to. There's like Pleiadians and like some from Andromeda, which is another galaxy. Zeta Reticuli is in our galaxy. And that's one of the races of the gray aliens. Like the little grays, the creepy guys that nobody likes.
Slinky weird dudes.
Yeah, because there's different ones. Like there's like Nordic aliens, and they're more like they're like beautiful human beings with like blonde hair and blue eyes.
Oh, that's why I always imagine the Pleiadians.
Yeah, Pleiadians.
Oh, okay.
They just call them the Nordics because that's what they look like.
Okay.
They kind of like the way the aliens get like categorized and named is like just basically off of what they look like. So it's like reptilians, grays, Nordics, tall whites, which is kind of like a gray, but like taller, and their skin is white. So
now, do you think they're all possibly the same thing that's just shape-shifting into stuff?
Well, there's lots of different theories. So it really depends what you believe and what different people believe. Because, yes, there is the theory. This gets kind of like, how would you say it? More like religious. Where people who are strongly religious believe that a lot of the aliens are all the same thing, but they're actually just demons portraying themselves as something else to put forth an agenda. And they come to people or show themselves in a way for that person to process them in a certain way so they can
understand them and
understand what they're doing, possibly put forth their agenda if that's what they're doing, because some of them come here as like, let's say Pleiadians, the Nordic ones that are like really beautiful and they're very like enlightened, and they're like, we need you to work on the environment and world peace and blah 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 blah. But then underneath it all, it sounds good, but then there's like a Luciferian agenda, which okay, I'm gonna get in some crazy stuff.
No, I'm ready. This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted when Eli was like, you need a topic, and I was like, aliens, and he was like I don't know if she'll do that or something. I'm like, no, I want to go there. This is what I want.
Okay. Yeah. So I've researched and listened to a lot of different experts and people from who have all sorts of ideas on all sorts of the spectrum and every like which meaning and stuff like that. So that's just one, is that the aliens are just demons or fallen angels or whatever to deceive people, but they come to them as a different form, because if they come as a human, you're just going to be like, whatever, human, I don't care. You're just going to say you don't know anything, you're just a human. But if a higher like being or higher intelligence tells you something, then it's a lot easier to be deceived.
Turn that slightly your way. You can scoot in or turn towards me if you want to do that at any point.
I just figured they'd want to see my dress.
Oh, your dress is great. Yeah, no, that's kind of close to what I believe. I don't necessarily think that they're evil things.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they're good things either, but I think that there's a substrate, spirit world, something, quantum realm.
Okay.
I think there's a million different ways to describe it.
Yeah.
A place where energy flows.
Yeah, different dimensions,
possibly. I think that place...
Heavens, hells, there's different names for these things.
I think they're all the same thing, though.
Yeah, it's all the same thing, but it just comes from a different person with a different background, so they call it something different.
Whether or not you're from a science background, you might call it, quantum field theory, which is just, we don't understand it yet. We can mathematically prove it, but we don't understand it, and it causes weird things. You're Christian, heaven, hell, spirit world, purgatory,
Yeah, or like if you just like science fiction, aliens from another galaxy.
I think it's all the same
Perhaps
thing, though.
universe, different universe. Yeah, that's the thing. That's kind of how I see it too. Is they're definitely from somewhere else, but we've never been there, so we don't know what it is. So we just kind of give it a name, and we're like, yeah, we know what it is. It's that. And, that's our way of justifying it. And when you know something a bit better, you're not, like, afraid of it. So if it has a name, that means you know about it. Because people are afraid of stuff that they don't know. So I think that's kind of how it works. So just different people have different ways of describing the same thing.
I'm always gonna science logic it out, and then Eli's always like, aliens, and I'm like, huh? I like them both because I think they're probably both right.
Yeah, they're just a different method to the same, different journey to the same destination.
Yeah. And that's the whole reason I'm doing this, actually, the podcast, is because I'm like, I think everyone has came to the same conclusion about things in life. Yeah. Pretty much. And they've done it in different methods than me. So I want to know their method because I've only ever known mine.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm like, I want to know how they tick and how they like have figured out their path to the same answers. So
I like that too. I always am interested in hearing what different people's speculations and theories and ideas and whatever are, because we don't all have the same ideas, and we might learn something new, or hey, I never thought of it that way.
And I can now use this in my
your
world
repertoire.
Yeah, my repertoire, my world building that I do. And that's literally why I do it. It's kind of a little selfish. I'm tearing people apart to say how did you solve this puzzle? How can I use your pieces in my puzzles?
Well, yeah, that's what we all should do. We all need to learn from everybody else's experiences because we can't experience everything.
Yeah.
So we just kind of have to makes it easier too. Other people can make the mistakes.
Yeah, that was a hard one to learn. All right, back to the aliens. You feel like the divine understanding is coming from the Zetas, or is it?
Well, I say that's where it's from. I really like aliens and listening to abduction stories and people who have had experiences, close encounters of the first, second, third, fourth, whatever kind. I like that kind of stuff. I think it's so interesting. And I told you I'm awkward.
Nah, you're good. Continue.
I like to listen to interviews and stuff where people will talk about their experiences in great detail for hours, and people will have all different experiences, and some people have experiences with the same alien group as someone else, so their story may be similar, and there's
and they
parallels.
had no connection before,
and they didn't know each other, and they don't share the stories with each other, which is really interesting. Anyways, back to what we were saying. The Zetas, I don't know why I picked that one. I just like it, I guess. Well, I like the gray aliens because they're creepy and weird, and there's lots of theories on them. They're not really one that's gonna come here and enlighten you like the Pleiadians or a Nordic race. They're more of, depends on who you talk to, but there's different theories that they actually come here to harvest our genetics because they are a bioengineered, but not in sort of a genetic way. So they harvest our genetics because they're mixing it with theirs so they can kind of procreate and become more, how would I say it? Not human. More alive and less robotic, because they're more of a flesh bag robot.
Yeah.
So that's one theory, is that the Zetas are,
well, there's randomness.
They're malevolent. They're not a good one. And a lot of people who encounter them are scary, and that's when you get the stories about people who get probed or whatever. But they're really taking them and they're experimenting on them and harvesting genetics. I've heard stories where they've actually implanted them with, like, basically, like, an alien hybrid so they can use the Grey's genetics and the human's genetics to try and, like, create a better being or something that's more, not real, more organic.
More organic.
Yeah.
It's
because
almost...
they it's like that they're robotic and, like, empty, and, like, they don't have a soul. They don't have, like, what we have that gives us, like, life and stuff.
They're trying to get closer to what we are,
yeah,
but not
so
lose what they are.
They want to be more like us. But then that also falls in line, too, with, like, fallen angels, which is interesting, because here's, like, another parallel of the people's different theories, where the fallen angels, they wanted to use our DNA as well.
Oh, yeah, that's all in
and
Genesis.
Then Genesis. And then, so they would do that, and that created, like, the Nephilim, which is, like, you know, God came and then, like, wiped out the earth with the flood and stuff, because he didn't want all that weird mixing going on. He's not a fan of the interspecies.
No interspecies breeding. Bad call.
So there's like a parallel there, which is interesting. I like them because I just think they have a fascinating story, and they aren't a benevolent one, because I guess I like things that are kind of darker and creepier. For whatever reason, I'm drawn to that, even though it's scary, and if people did experience stuff like that, it fucking sucks.
I had a dream the other night, and this little boy looked like a Pleiadian. He had, like, golden, like that kind of golden hair.
Yeah.
And, like, in the dream, there was, like this golden light kind of coming from him, and he had, like, these bright eyes that were in between, like, blue and, like green, but they were, like, really bright. And I kept watching him grow, and he would get about to, like, I guess his 50s, and then it'd start again. It'd loop again. And I dreamed that for, like, I don't know how long in the dream.
So in your dream, it was just like a repetition of this growth cycle?
Yeah, over and over again. At first, I thought it was my dad, because my dad has, like, bright... my dad's eyes are, like, brighter than that in coloration.
Is your dad still alive?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And when he was young, he had, like golden hair, like that. So at first, I thought it was him, but the facial structure and stuff wasn't quite him.
Maybe your dad's Pleiadian.
Oh, maybe.
So
he's a little bit of an asshole.
You're half.
So, yeah, he's a little bit of an asshole. In a good way, though. But yeah, he's too mean to be a Pleiadian. That's everything I've read about them. They're
no
too...
one said they're good, though.
No one said they're good.
People say that they teach us stuff, but I mean, you don't know.
You don't know.
Especially if he's been on this earth a while. I mean, you get jaded.
You get jaded. Being here sucks.
Dealing with these humans.
Ugh. How dare they?
No, he's just pissed.
He's just so pissed. Just, ugh.
These lower life forms.
Just, ugh. Worst. And I honestly, I could see that because my dad is hyper intelligent. And he's like, he's one of those people that sees something going on and you can just see him where he's like, like, why? Just
so many stupid people.
So many stupid people. And he comprehends things really, really well and fast. And so, but I'm like, I could see that. I could see Dad secretly being one. For that reason. Just being like, all these dumb humans. How dare they?
Can I go back? Am
I
done back? Here yet?
Am I done?
Have I fulfilled my purpose? I want E.T. phone home.
E.T. phone home. Can I get out of the simulation? Simulation sucks. But, I have this conversation where I was like, I'm in a simulation. And then I'm like, I should be okay with being here because it's gorgeous and beautiful. And everything about existence and life is awesome.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, let me out of the simulation. So whatever thing created it is like, I made the most perfect garden for you. and you're still not content with it.
I think it's just the other people that ruin
it. Yeah, lower the people.
Because it is beautiful and it's nice.
But I also
and the
enjoy
animals
that.
are so nice.
Mm-hmm.
But then you just deal with some jerks, and then you're like, I hate this world.
I think mushrooms are aliens, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they are things that
Like,
go and seed other planets to create life.
Oh, like spores.
Yeah.
That's true, because they reproduce in a really weird way.
They reproduce in a really weird way. I help run... Jesus. Ugh. I've had nothing to consume today, alcohol-wise, so... That's just my normal words, people.
That's okay. I always do that, too. I'm really bad about it.
Oh, so bad about it.
I'm surprised I haven't tripped up too much yet. Really, I'm impressed with myself.
But I help run the Alabama Mushroom Society. And,
okay.
And so we go and we teach people about it, and the more I learn about them, the more I'm like...
Aliens.
There's no way this is from Earth.
Extraterrestrials from another planet.
I think they're the thing that seeded everything. I think bacteria devolved from them, and then plants and animals evolved from them because the genetic material's there for both.
Well, wasn't fungus one of... I'll have to think back to science class. Fungi was one of the original...
Yeah.
I don't want to call them species because it's much lower on the evolutionary pole than species. Where there's
kingdom?
Kingdom. Yeah. Because there's the 3 kingdoms.
Yeah.
And fungi has its own kingdom. So that...
In multicell, there's 3 kingdoms. And then there's eukaryotes and bacteria, too. So
yeah. And then is that what I'm thinking?
Yeah, that's what you're thinking about.
So the eukaryote, prokaryote?
Yeah, prokaryote is one.
And then fungi.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the 3. And those are... Yeah, so that's on the same level as bacteria, because bacteria would be unicellular, right?
Yeah, so bacteria are unicellular. They're things that are kind of dancing the line. I should have studied
biology before I came
in. They're dancing the line, but yeah, I think fungus traveled on asteroids or whatever, or I've had dreams and experiences where I've been told funguses are we are way more intelligent than you because a fungal mass, so the mycelium has the thinking capacity of probably about one human brain, and some have way more than that, and if they connect to each other, which they have the capability to, the Earth is a giant thinking thing. They're like the nervous system of the Earth. And I've been we don't have the capability to do things like build rockets to travel to other places. So what we do is we go from planet to planet and create life there to solely make an intelligent species.
Okay, and starting from fungi.
But they're like the masterminds. They're they think over a long period of time. They're we made all the animals because we knew eventually one of them would be able to create rockets and all those things to travel to other places. We don't have the capability to do that. We can't physically make rockets or spacecraft or whatever. But we don't have that capability. But we know that things with hands and stuff like that do. So we'll set up a planet where all those things can evolve and eventually create, something to send us to other planets and continue the life thing.
So I'm just curious because I don't remember from school because it was a long time ago. When you go lower than the level of those 3 kingdoms, what's on that level?
So it's...
Is that atomic at that point?
Or
is there something in between? I just don't remember.
So the current standpoint is actually, it was single-cell organisms, which is your eukaryotes and all that, and then fungi, and then fungi and plant diverged. And then you got animals from the fungi line. Okay. So that's the current understanding. I don't think that. I think it was fungi was first because they spermpanium, I think it's what it's called, where the idea that other things settled life on.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think they were first, and then some of the fungi evolved backwards into bacterium. And then they evolved into the other things. So the only reason I think that is because it's very hard to find fossils of fungi because they don't have any hard tissues. But we have found some, and they're old. I mean, like, shouldn't have existed in our current standard. You know, and this was a couple of years ago, and like completely flipped everything upside down. And so I'm like, they were fully evolved as like a mushroom and mycelial mass super early on. So I think they had millions, if not billions, of years of evolution somewhere else first for what the complexity just couldn't have happened yet.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I think they came from somewhere else. You know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a cool theory.
Yeah, I think they have. They're weird. So I think they're aliens. Zetas are evil, though.
Zeta.
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 Zeta. Is it just zetas? Or how do you pluralize?
Zeta Reticuli?
Yeah, how do you...
They call them the Zetas.
The Zetas. Okay, I didn't know, like, how do you pluralize that?
Yeah. The Zetas.
So they're evil. Or not evil,
they're more, self-preservation is their goal. So they are not evil to themselves because they're doing what's right for their species. But they're using us, so we think that they're evil.
Yeah, it's kind of like how, you know, our grass thinks we're probably evil because we cut it.
Yeah,
you know?
Or animals because we eat them.
Or we eat them, but really...
But it's just self-preservation. We don't think it's evil because we need to do that to live. So, you know, evil's, like, subjective.
It is subjective, very
However,
much so.
yeah, to humans, we think they're evil.
Yeah.
They're bad.
But they're probably not. They're probably just doing their thing.
To them, they're doing the right thing. They're just trying to do it and continue their species.
But why do they have to become more like us?
There's theories that they cannot procreate on their own because they aren't an organic form. Because they are an organic form. They're like an organic robot, but they lack the things that make them like a proper species. Like they're kind of like a genetic creation in a lab kind of thing. With a lot of other aliens, they're more of like an enslaved race. So they actually use them just as their worker bees because they're like
drones.
They're more like mindless, like drones. They're just organic robots. They just do what they're told depending who's they're answering to as the hierarchy. So there's stories that even the Nordics and the Pleiadians, they have them on their ships. When people get taken up with the Pleiadians, they'll see the little, mindless worker bees of the Zetas just going around doing what they need to do, conducting experiments.
Were they conscious at all?
Yeah, they're conscious. That's why it's weird. It's a really like gray area, and I'm not explaining it right.
Yeah, but what level of conscious? Like, are they more conscious than, like, you and I? Or are they conscious in a different way than you and I?
In a different way.
In a different way. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's my line. If I can make a machine that has no nervous system that basically does a task, and it's nothing more than a machine, like a biological machine. Like, let's say I could... Sounds really messed up. You take a horse fetus... and then you replace its nervous system with mechanical things that barely think. They just know how to control, do the task that they're told to do. I don't think it has necessarily a soul. So,
yeah.
So I'm like, do they have...
It's kind of like that, but they do have enough sentience to realize what they are, and they don't want to be that.
That's sad.
Yes, it is, isn't it? It's sad. Kind of a tragedy.
Reminds me of Mel Drow being put in their place. Yeah,
so they realize like they're enslaved, and they don't want that. They kind of want to be like, they want to have the ability to procreate on their own. They want to have the genetics like that we have to give them a soul and all the kind of stuff to make them like more complete as a species.
more complete. But how are they getting away with this with the Pleiadians doing?
Because it's kind of like the countries. There's no, in our world, there's no overarching power telling everyone what to do. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing. You know what I mean?
Why are the Zeta? Why are they okay with that? Like if they're being the little helpers, just helping everyone, and they're getting the genetic material.
Because they're enslaved.
They're enslaved, but how are they being enslaved and still getting the material?
Well, there's different like sections. Like there's the Zetas from Zeta Reticuli who are not enslaved and they're kind of doing it on their own. And then there's the ones who are enslaved to like the Pleiadians or the Reptilians or whoever.
Now, do you believe in the they're just the future us?
I've heard that, and it's really interesting, those theories. Do I believe they're the future us? Sure, I don't know. Maybe.
That's what I think.
I'm open to it.
Yeah, I think they're the future us. I think we're probably in some weird big time loop where we create them and they created us through this manipulation thing. It's a dance, a yin-yang thing.
There could be something like that going on. That's a lot of what Pleiadians will say, that they're us from the future and we need to get our crap together and, evolve and stop warring amongst ourselves and doing all the crazy stuff that we do on Earth, stop eating other animals, doing all the things that cause harm.
If I have met any of them, that would probably be Pleiadians. That would be the closest thing, because I've had dreams like that little boy my entire life.
Wow.
Yeah, they're little weirdos. They are, because sometimes they don't explain what they want. And I'm like, is this just a weird dream, or is this...
Yeah, it's weird that they don't tell you, because in a lot of people who I know who've had experiences, they tell you what they're here for, what you need to do on their behalf, and your role in it. So it's just weird that you're just seeing them, but there's... is there an interaction, or is it just you just see them and that's it?
I'm just watching.
And a lot of times what they can do is, they communicate by just putting, a picture in your head, basically.
That's the way I think anyways. I am on the spectrum, and I thought language was dumb.
You were what?
On the autism spectrum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I thought language was dumb for the first 7 years of my life.
Huh.
I could speak, but I just didn't. I would think in mathematical constructs, almost like code.
Okay.
And man, learning language was the worst, because I was like, this is so slow and so dumb. Why does everybody use this? Why can't I just beam what I understand to you people? That would be the most convenient.
Yeah, the most efficient, for sure.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
And then you wouldn't have to fumble over words and misconvey things and have someone perceive it wrong, because you might be saying exactly what you mean, but someone is understanding it in a totally different way, so they get something different out of it.
Because we all come from different backgrounds.
Yeah, it's so inconvenient. It's so dumb. Inconvenient. Why do we do it? Why don't we just protect our thoughts? Yeah. What is wrong with us?
Yeah, why can't we do that? Why can't we be a little bit more dolphin-like by the way they do that?
I've heard that.
They not so much, I don't think, their thoughts, but they have the echolocation,
Yeah.
And they can communicate through that sound. And we now know, let's say I was a dolphin and I took a mental image of this, basically 3D scanned it. I'd be able to come up to you and do the sounds, replicate that, and you would see a mental image of its shape and stuff. So I'm like, oh,
that's really interesting.
That is cool. Why can't we do that?
So they replicate with sonar.
Yeah. They basically, they remember what the shape looks like, and so there will be a little bit of miscommunication because it might be a little bit warped, Oh,
because of water and stuff, maybe.
Well, just how your mental image is changed. So you can think of the way you would describe or draw your cat if you didn't see them would be different than a photo.
Okay,
You know, so
yeah.
like it's like from mental image to. So there
Oh.
would be a little bit, I think, there that would change, but they pretty much replicate, and they're like, yeah, it's shaped like this.
Okay, that's
and like,
interesting.
And like the other dolphin sees kind of the shape. I'm like, that is strange.
That's interesting.
That's interesting. That's weird. I feel like that's a more efficient way of communication.
Yeah, it is.
At least in terms of describing your surroundings.
Yeah, visually, that's a good form of communication. If you want someone to visualize what you've seen.
Dolphin VR has got to be so cool. They can just do the sonar sounds and then you put on your thing and then boom, you're in it.
Yeah,
and
there you go. That's
yeah.
interesting.
Ah,
Is that a technology that exists yet?
I don't know. It'd be a little messed up, I think, to do it to dolphins. Is that ethical?
If we're talking about it, it probably exists in like
some form.
A dark, non public, you know.
We'll find out about it in 60 years.
Yeah, exactly. it's probably happening. Just the technology won't be known to us for quite a while.
Quite a while. One of my favorite books is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I love that one. That's like my favorite movie.
And so I was like,
47.
dolphins are aliens too.
It's the meaning of the world, or the meaning of life.
47. No, 42.
Oh yeah, 42.
42.
Oh, I haven't seen that in a long time. I screwed up.
Yeah, it's 42. That's what the computer processed, and then they were like, the pretty much Pleiadian little children, because that's who that was.
Yeah, basically.
Were like that's not an acceptable answer, and it's like, well, you didn't give me a question, like a proper question, and I'm like, oh yeah. Man, Adam Douglas has this down, like he understands.
Mm-hmm.
That
was such a good film.
The books are better.
Very thought-provoking. I haven't read the books, unfortunately.
The books are better.
But yeah, that's like one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, I'd suggest downloading the audiobooks. The audiobooks are pretty good. Yeah.
I'm going to do that.
I listen to a lot of audio.
Now, I have two sort of funny stories. When you ask your Alexa, I don't have one, but at a place where I worked, they had one, so I would ask it dumb questions. Because, whatever, stupid government surveillance device. Anywho, so I would always ask it stuff, and I would ask it things like that. And I was like, Alexa, what's the meaning of life? And one of the answers was 42.
Yeah. Engineers are nerds.
Now, to build on that, I wish I remember the full synopsis of that, but when you break things down into binary, into computer language, something to do with 42 is actually the meaning of life to a computer in some sort of binary. I wish I could explain it better, and I remembered, but I listened to a whole thing about this. So, to that computer, 42 was the meaning of life, and it was the right answer. But to a living being, it made no sense. So I'd have to.
I don't.
You'll have to look into it further.
I'll have to look into it. If I had a guess, it'd probably have to do with keeping time, and we use quartz crystal, which I think vibrates at 4,200 vibrations a second.
Okay.
And so, I think it would have to do with that, because all basis of computing originated from that point.
Oh, well, there you go. So there's, so the number was relevant into some sort of computer term.
Yeah.
So it was right.
For us, the answer, though, is probably 137.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a mathematical number that shows up in, everything. All math that pretty much, if it has to do with physics, at its core, 137 is going to be there. Somewhere in it is super weird, and we're like, why this number? But why?
That is weird.
I'm like, it's just such a strange everywhere thing. Yeah. It's very weird. Yeah, you also work with Eli, don't
I do.
Yeah.
and Randy too.
And Randy.
So we have, believe it or not, we get some deep conversations at work.
Mm-hmm.
Like things you probably
some
shouldn't.
Risque.
Things you shouldn't talk about. Ideas you shouldn't ponder upon for hours with your coworkers.
Yeah.
And it's cool because we're all pretty different, vastly different.
Uh-huh.
So we get some really, really different, contrasting ideas and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So our conversations get pretty abstract.
Oh man, I love it when it's pulled down.
It's so fun, and I love it.
That's my goal, is to have people with so much different. I don't want an echo chamber.
No, I hate that.
I've recorded 2 that were like majorly echo chambers, and like it was fun in the moment, but when I'm listening to it, I'm like, no one wants to hear this.
You're not getting anything out of this.
Nobody's getting anything. I didn't get anything new out of it because it's all information I already knew.
Yeah.
You know, and my whole thing is to get new stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So echo chambers are a no-go.
Yeah, I don't like echo chambers.
Yeah, you have to have... Oh, what'd you lose? One of your bows? Oh.
I can fix it.
How long did this take you?
Longer than I'd like to admit. Probably since you started your conversation with Randy.
Oh, man.
Takes a long time. It's art.
It's art.
I was creating. I got caught up in the moment.
I can edit this part out. Do you want to talk about your other work? Are you a go-go dancer, or are you...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can talk about that.
Okay. Yeah. I
so,
didn't...
yeah, I do, like... You don't have to edit any of that.
Okay, cool.
But, yeah, I do fashion and go-go dancing.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of just artistic stuff. You couldn't tell I'm, like... tortured, insane, crazy artist. I mean, you can't even fathom that. You would never know.
Never know whatsoever.
Just blending in with
society.
Assimilating.
Ugh, the worst.
I know, I hate it.
When it tries to, when the societal machine's like, no, follow the rules thing, I'm like,
Be this
middle
way.
finger.
You have to. Like, don't make me do it.
And the worst part is, some of the things I would be okay with being, but it's just because society's telling me to do it. I'm like, no. Like a defiant child, like going to touch the stove.
Listen. You told me no, so I'm gonna do it.
So I'm gonna do it. And I'm like, oh no. So you do that, go-go dancer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a performer, performance art sort of thing.
Okay.
Where I mix like dancing with costume.
Is it kind of burlesque like?
Depending on like the show or the event or whatever, kind of. I don't like take my clothes off. Oh, but I'll be like sexy.
My sister's a stripper, so
oh.
I'm not. I gave her the funding to give her business license and fully knew what I was doing.
Oh my god.
So I'm totally, I don't care at all.
Oh, that's good.
I'm like, cool. You can take advantage of men just wanting some company.
Lonely men.
Lonely men, because that's your job. Like, dancing is part of it, but I've always considered the large portion of the job to be, you make people not feel lonely.
No, that's really what it is. I have bartended in strip clubs and like waitress and stuff, so I'm very, very familiar with all of it. Of course, there's the guys who just want to party and like, you know, get crazy on their bachelor party or with their friends or whatever.
They're still lonely in their
heart.
Then,
yeah, there's like the men who are legitimately lonely and they just want someone to talk to, and they have very, very bad interpersonal skills, so they just can't get the attention on their own, so they have to pay ladies to
which some of them are really rich and some of them aren't and probably don't need to be spending their money.
That's really true. It's very, very true. Yeah. Met a lot of interesting people. And yeah, generally it's just men who just don't have good luck with the ladies, and women are very particular. So, maybe a guy has money, but he's, really awkward and kind of insufferable to talk to.
So well, some of them, like one of Sarah's clients, just makes shitloads. I mean, like multimillionaire, person. And I'm like, well, if he was gay, I'd be his, I'd be his sugar baby.
There you go.
Like I'm fine with that. Literally, and he is awkward. He is a strange dude. And I know he is. I know he's weird, but I'm like, a little bit of weirdness for, like a large allowance, because that's what he calls it, is allowance.
Oh, well, there you
go. I'm like he'll give girls like multiple different girls like $15,000 allowances a month. Be like, here you go spend whatever on this card.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, oh, that's very strange. I'm too cheap to do that, so.
That makes me wonder, though. What are they doing for the allowance?
Not much.
I don't know.
Like, Sarah got one, and all she did was, like, go on a date at the beach. And, like, they didn't do anything. And then he hugged and cried at the end.
Well, that's fine.
That's fine, good.
Like, They're there.
Yeah.
Cha-ching, little dollar signs in the eyes. They're there. Hilarious.
Is it the castle?
Yeah, the castle.
Okay.
That's not a strip club, though.
Yeah.
It's like a goth industrial nightclub.
Is it leaning towards the gay community, or is it?
It's everyone.
Is everyone? Okay.
It's very welcoming to gay community, to anyone from any walk of life. We have a large gay clientele, and like we have lots of trans people who go there, and just like people with weird fetishes and all that kind of stuff.
Very Peter, which is not your Peter. A guy I work for. He goes to the castle.
Oh, he's been there.
Yeah.
And his name's Peter.
Yeah.
What does he look like? I wonder if I've probably seen him. I've worked there for almost like 10 years now.
Let's see. Where did I set my phone?
Oh, you're gonna show me a picture.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you a picture. Oh, my phone is almost dead. Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's fun. Let's see.
He looks like a sunset.
Yeah, he's... I don't care, cat things. Go away, Peter. I just want to see a picture of you.
Oh, wait. There was one. Let's see. I don't quite recognize him.
Let's see. There's probably a good one somewhere.
Oh.
That's him very young, though.
That's him at the castle.
Yeah, very, very young here. I mean, that's 2014. There's much better.
Okay. I'm
know.
sure I've seen him at some point.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Yeah. He goes a lot.
Okay, I've probably seen him, and he's probably seen me.
Yeah, he makes some big monies too. So, he makes his money helping people get money. So
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, I'm like, well,
and then everybody's happy.
Yeah, then everybody's happy. Just helps businesses like settle their things to where like they can get donations and stuff like that. So I'm like,
cool.
huh.
Interesting.
Yeah. Do you dress up like this when you go to the
Oh, this is too tame for the castle.
This is too tame?
Yeah, I dress way crazier.
Way crazier? I'd love to see that.
This is me, like, toning it down and trying to be normal.
Oh.
Mind you, like, at my regular job, I don't wear any makeup or, like, anything. I'm just, like, I'm not getting paid to be pretty. I'm not going to be pretty.
Well, y'all got in trouble for it.
Coming like a slob. I got in trouble?
Or Eli was saying something like they were, like, tone it down.
To Eli?
No. Like they had like like they like to show people off, like almost like they'll bring people in.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
and
yeah.
they're like, y'all need to wear more normal things so that in case we bring someone in to show.
That's true. They randomly have like clients or whatever walk through to just show the facilities. My hair's blue though, and no one has said anything about it. And I will wear like dresses like this. However, I don't wear the part that poofs it, and I don't wear like. I'll wear like a t-shirt with leggings with like a cat dress of sort and blue hair.
And blue hair. Is blue your current color? Have you went through others?
Oh, I've had like every color.
You've had like every color? Yeah. That's the first time I saw you, you were still on blue.
Yeah, I think it was like a teal color. Actually, that day I like freshly dyed my hair.
You freshly dyed it.
Because I was at the wedding, so I had to be like prim and presentable. I wouldn't say prim and proper.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't proper. Prim and presentable.
Yeah. That was one of those moments where I was like, where I met you, and I was like, oh, I wanna question this person.
She needs an interrogation.
She needs an interrogation. That's what I love to do. Cause I'm like, wow, did you turn into you? Cause anything that's so different than me, I'm aliens. And the crazy hair. I don't know if you watch Ancient Aliens.
Oh yeah, I used to be obsessed with it.
I watched it when I was younger a lot, and I was like, it was top notch.
I know. When that came out, I was like, this is everything I've ever wanted.
Everything.
Yeah, my weird like alien obsession got to run wild with that show. It was good.
It was good.
It was really good.
Yeah. No.
And then I could be like, yeah, well, Ancient Aliens says this, so it's true.
Haven't you seen it?
Yeah.
Cross arms.
It was like my justification. Well, it's on the TV, so it's obviously true.
Obviously true. The worst part about believing like an idea that's so distant from like mainstream is no one else will understand your idea until they have all the pieces.
Yeah.
So then you look like a crazy person describing like all like, there's this piece. All right. I know you see that hole there. Here's this other thing that feels that. And
just wait. There's more.
Wait, there's more.
Give me some time. Give me like an hour. Plan it all out. Put all the pieces in. You'll see. And it'll be wonderful. You'll have a complete picture and you'll understand. And then they're like, you're freaking crazy.
That's when I try to do my piece of reality, what I describe my reality. And I'm like trying to show. I'm like, I need a bulletin board with the strings and the...
Yeah. I usually don't talk about this kind of stuff unless someone like wants to talk about it. Because I don't want to push this kind of weird stuff on people because they just think you're crazy. And it's not even that I believe this stuff. I just like...
You're playing with it.
Yeah, it's just ideas that are fun to play with and enjoyable because, I don't know, real life is boring.
Yeah. Yeah, straight up. Why not be the fucking weirdo?
Yeah, because it's like, well, you like watching horror movies. That's not real. You like playing video games. That's not real. I want to listen to weird alien conspiracies and hear about people who've been abducted.
Mm-hmm. Do you listen to the Mysterious Universe? Like,
yeah, I love Mysterious Universe. I'm so glad that Eli introduced me to that. Now, that is kind of like... what would the word be? Not predecessor.
Precursor?
Something that comes after.
Oh.
What's the fancy word for that?
Oh.
The lineage.
Is it
the
prelude?
Prelude. No, that's before.
No, that's before. I don't know. I know what you're talking about. They'll know.
Yeah, it's like the child of.
The child of.
There was a radio program from many years ago called Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell.
Oh.
Familiar?
No.
Okay.
It just sounds like it.
So, on the legit radio, just the one that you listen to, for, oh my gosh, how long has it been around? Like, at least 30 years, because I've listened to it for about all my life. Maybe longer. It's a radio program on the AM station. And it is called Coast to Coast AM. And that just sounds like just regular, right? Just what Coast to Coast AM. Nothing crazy about that. That sounds like the most mundane, normal thing you'll ever hear. However, it was all about, like, paranormal and aliens and, like, weird religion stuff and just everything that is not normal. Or even normal, but maybe, like, hyper normal, because you, like, get into, like, the nuances and stuff. Different psychology, just so many different topics that you don't hear in regular everyday conversations. And they would have guests and specialists and people with experiences, and then they'd even have people call in. It was a radio show, and people would call in, and you can ask questions to the guests and stuff. Art Bell started it. He died, I think, like last year, which is really sad because I love him. So he's kind of the one who, like, started that whole, like, paranormal, like, radio podcast, except for it was on the AM radio because computers didn't really exist at that point. Yeah, and so that's kind of where I first learned about this kind of stuff, and I've always been really fascinated by it, so it just sticks with you, I guess. Becomes a lifelong obsession.
You just said the name Art Bell. The one of my favorite shows growing up was Fringe.
Fringe?
Yeah.
Is that his show?
No, but there's a character in it named Art Bell, and I guarantee
it's probably based off of him.
It's probably based off of him because Art Bell was... They basically study paranormal stuff in Fringe, but he's like a scientist, and they're like finding these weird things.
Oh, they totally named it after Art Bell, because he is like... He was like the name, like the household name of weird, random, paranormal alien stuff, because you know you don't know about like the I don't know people who are lesser known like Linda Moulton Howe or whatever. Any of those people, like, those aren't household names, but Art Bell would be the household name because of Coast to Coast AM.
I bet he was totally named after
He was totally named after Art Bell.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's such a good show. Like, legitimately go and watch it. It's like multiple dimensions and like some... Do you know who the Hat Men are?
Are they like the Men in Black kind of?
Yeah, they're kind of like Men in Black.
Or they're like... Not... Are they the shadow people
like,
that wear the hat?
Yeah, they're...
Because there's like a couple different versions.
That genre of people where it's like the people watching, like the watchers that are like in the suits and like with the fedoras, you know.
Yeah, like the 50s style.
Yeah, the 50s style. There's a whole thing going on with that, and there's like some alien stuff in it, and like, yeah, it's just good. It's I remember watching it as a kid and being like, yes, this is what I wanted. Yes.
Nice.
And it had my science in it that I like, so I was like, it's like, yeah, I like the fantasy that leans towards science, where it can still be fantasy and be science.
Yeah, but you can like prove it with science, because then it's like, oh, that's got a good, you know, it could almost be real.
Almost be real. That's where I like. I don't like it when there's any mystery left in it, which is weird because that's what a lot of people like, is the mystery. But I like the idea of solving the mystery.
Yeah, I like it all because it's like you learn about what is potential, which is cool, and then your mind can like kind of go off in all sorts of which ways. But then if you take that same thing and then you add like a science to it, and then you're like, head explodes.
Head explodes. That's my
blown.
favorite. I like deconstructing the things and putting them together, which I think my science eventually leads to something that's magical almost in nature. So
yeah, and that's the thing, is like science goes really far and really deep, and we still don't understand it.
Okay, so reiterate. Zeta aliens. Am I saying that wrong still?
No, Zeta. You said it
Zeta,
right.
okay. Alright, so there's the Zeta Pleiadians. There's 13 in total? Or there's infinite number?
There's infinite, depending on who you talk to. I mean, there's databases. You can go online, and there's like hundreds. Because, I mean, how many galaxies? How many planets? How many dimensions? How many universes? How many multiverses? And it just depends who believes in what theory. So I guess it's infinite.
Just infinite. Does your Peter nerd out on this with you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, actually. So, when I meet a guy, like, they gotta get into a weird conversation with me, like, really fast. Or else I will think they're so boring and I will hate them and I won't even want to talk to them. So I'm like, whatever. You're so boring and I want nothing to do with you.
Understandable.
Yeah. So, pretty much any guy I've dated, like, within our first conversation, if we start talking conspiracies and something weird, I'm like,
yeah,
I like you.
I like you. Stick you around.
You're the one. So, yeah, we talked about all sorts of random stuff. But he's also really tall and really skinny.
Oh, that's your type?
I like that. But, so, there is a race of aliens. There's a couple different, like, tall whites. There's the tall whites that look like the grays, but there's white. But then there's also the tall whites that kind of fit in with humans and assimilate. However, they are very tall. They're skinnier than us, and the way they move is a little weird. You wouldn't notice that they're not human unless you're looking at them and you're like noticing these little minute nuances changes. And you're like, something's off about you. So, you know, within our first couple times of meeting, I accused him of being a tall white.
And then you're like, you have to stick around now.
And he was like, yeah, you caught me.
You caught me. Does he still play on that, or is he...
Oh, yeah, we always joke about that kind of stuff.
What if he is, though?
Freaking cool.
Freaking cool.
Yeah.
Next time I see him, I'm going to be like, you're a tall white.
Yeah, and they try to assimilate with humans. They're here. They're doing their missions, but they also enjoy doing, like, human things, because when they're on Earth, they're like, hey, it's a vacation. Let's go to Las Vegas, especially since, like, you know, Area 51's out there. So they try to fit in and just do, like, the dumb human things, but if you're watching and you're paying attention, you'll notice some people are just off. Probably aliens.
Maybe all the chaos happened because we did break into Area 51 and we let out the aliens.
No, they're free to do whatever they want.
Oh. Were you sitting on your edge, like, waiting for that at the Area 51 thing? What do you think about that?
Of Area 51?
Yeah, remember when there was the whole raid Area 51 thing going?
Oh, yeah. There's nothing there. They moved that a long time ago. There's like a million more bases that we don't know about. Then they learned to put it all underground. So it's like, go ahead, go look at the airplanes. You're going to get shot on the way in.
America,
down.
Free. What's funny to me is how long the United States government just denied that there was an Area 51. It's like, but we literally see it, and they're like, it doesn't exist, and we're like...
I still think that they say it doesn't exist. To this day they say it doesn't exist, but you're like, satellite, Nevada desert.
There.
It's right there.
Right there.
But it's just like a military base now.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
A sort of secretive base. But it's not even like the one that people fixate on. Now you want to talk about like Dulce, New Mexico, or like the airport in Denver, all the underground one. Yeah. See, I mean, Area 51's like old news. Who cares about that shitter?
One of my checklist is to go to the Denver airport.
Oh, okay, I've been there. And, okay, it was exchange flight going to Canada, probably about 10 years ago now. And this is the thing. is I was so tired that I wasn't even paying attention to which airport I was in because it was like, you know, one of those stupid flights at a really ridiculous hour, and then I'm on the plane for like 4 hours, and then I get off in Denver as an exchange. I don't even realize what city I'm in to go to the exchange. I just know it's an exchange. But I know I was there, and then I remember just being half asleep, walking down this one hallway, and it was like a cylinder, and there was like the walls were metal.
Mm-hmm.
There was a platform, elongated platform. I wouldn't call it a platform, maybe like a bridge, sort of. Just a raised area inside this cylinder. And then along the sides of the cylinder, there was like these weird changing color lights. So I'm walking through this thing and I'm like, what the fuck? Am I in an alien spaceship? And looking back, I was like, oh my god, that was the Denver airport. Oh, I didn't even explore it. I was so tired that I didn't even realize I was. And I was just like, weird hallway. Okay, I gotta get to my next flight. I'm tired. It's probably gonna leave soon. But yeah, I've been there. And that's the only thing I know about it is the spaceship hallway. And it was a really long hallway. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like a short hallway. It was weird. And that's all I remember, and I wish I actually remembered more, because that's like the coolest place ever.
I need coronavirus to go away so that I can continue traveling.
Yeah.
It's a big pain of mine, because I traveled so much before. Like this year alone, I've came down here several times. I've traveled to Gatlinburg, North Carolina, South Carolina, and like New Orleans, and so I went somewhere like every 3 weeks.
Nice.
And then the coronavirus happened, and I'm stuck, and I'm like, because I would travel to these places. I'm just worried about going there and then there being like a whole city locked down.
Oh,
and then I'm like stuck. Then I can't go leave. That's my worst fear, is being stuck somewhere. And I'm like,
yeah, that's rough. That's the annoying thing with everything going on right now is we just don't know. We don't know what's gonna happen, and we don't know if it's gonna get better, if it's gonna get worse, we don't know, and it's annoying. I just wanted to go back to normal.
Please, let me fly.
Come on.
I was supposed to be at the end of this month heading to Yellowstone.
Oh man, that's so cool.
Yeah, and then right when it first happened, I was supposed to go to Ireland this year in May.
Oh.
And that was shut down. So I'm like, sucks a lot. And it happened like right. We, May 10th, so Mother's Day, was when we were going to leave. And like right before everything was shut down. Like they're like, no more flights back and forth. And I was like, and I called it. I canceled and I did it with my card, so I got full refund and all that. And I was like, it sucks a lot. But it's making me do this.
Oh, well, there you go. So there is like a positive.
So there is a positive. It's like you can't travel anymore, so you're gonna have to start fulfilling that bug of understanding people and meeting new people and stuff. So that's what the travel thing was. I was going to unique places to meet unique individuals. And they're like, you're going to have to do that, but find a loophole.
Now you just have to bring them to you.
Now you just have to bring them to you. And I'm like,
Eli, what weirdos do you work with?
Yeah, that's pretty much. I was like, when I first started, I had a list of 35 people in Alabama or the Southeast that I could interview. And then I was like, Eli, how many do you have? How many unique individuals can I get? You know? Like, and it's a little orchestrated and a little weird, because usually I would make these kinds of connections with a random person at like a bar.
Yeah.
You know, like in New Orleans, I would go to like a bar and find some weird person and be like, hey, pretty much like make a friend.
Yeah, and, New Orleans is full of weird people.
Oh, it's so
I love New Orleans.
There's a place called the Dungeon.
Oh, the Dungeon, familiar.
Yeah.
It's like their golf club.
Yeah, straight up thought I was like, It's like a vampire trying to get me there. It's like, I should have let you bounce me, you know?
Yeah, New Orleans is like the vampire scene.
Yeah, if we, Eli planning on going in October, if things are...
It's the place to go in October. I've been there several times for Halloween.
Yeah, I've been once for Halloween, and
nice.
then Mardi Gras, and then just a couple of times, you know. But Halloween is fun there.
I have some cool stories if you want to hear.
Oh, yeah.
About vampires.
Yeah,
in New
go
Orleans.
for it. Go for it.
So, the times I've been to New Orleans was as a performer dancing for vampire balls. Oh. So the people who are actually like vampires, I'm like doing vampire belly dancing for. At the House of Blues. Yeah. That's my story. I've done it a few times. Okay. I told Eli this story actually just like a little while ago, and Eli's like, "Oh my god, you need to tell Spencer this story. It's so good."
Go for it.
So, part of what I was doing when I was there is being an entertainer, and also I love vampire culture and all that kind of stuff. So, a lot of my friends are vampires, and I just think it's a really like interesting subculture to be a part of. So, I'm in on that subculture.
Yeah.
So when I was there was a couple events. There's like the big vampire ball, which is like, you know, open to everyone, and it's like really cool and fun, and it's a House of Blues. So I think they started in New Orleans, right? And that's like a really cool, well-established place. So I would be on stage in like vampire showgirl costume and like belly dancing and like being sexy and whatever. And then the second night is like a more exclusive thing, and they have a place called the Foundation Room, and it's like a really exclusive club where to be a part of this club, it's kind of like a hidden place, almost like a speakeasy, but
the dungeon's kind of hidden.
But you have to, in order to go to this club, you have to be a member, and the membership charges like $20,000 a year. Like, it's a really exclusive place. It's so cool. When you go in, all the walls are covered in this like super exotic, expensive, it's like I don't know how to explain it, but like a silk Egyptian patchwork tapestry all over the walls. And just the fabric on the walls, I was talking to some of the people that work there, and just that fabric on the walls is worth like millions of dollars.
Man.
But it's weird because it's like almost like a Kama Sutra sex club type thing. It's so weird. All the walls and artwork are like weird Kama Sutra like sex stuff. And then there's like statues, like big wooden statues of like muscular men with large boners and like busty women like posing and presenting, and like the whole just aesthetic is like, I don't know how to explain it, a Kama Sutra sex club.
Yeah, that's
but like it's not like dirty and perverted, but like artistic, and like just unique and weird. Not like porn, but it's all like drawings, like hand drawn, like that kind of stuff, but in like Indian style or whatever Middle Eastern style it is. I'm probably not saying the right one, but it was super, super cool. And there's like all these different little rooms and everything. There's just tapestries and like fabrics, and it's just decorated so beautifully, and there's just so much weird stuff. So we had like a banquet, so we all like ate in the banquet room. And then, so my part, of course, was like an entertainer. So I was like go-go dancing and just, not go-go dancing, but like belly dancing and being sexy as like a sexy vampire dancer. And then also my other role was to take part in a voodoo ritual.
Oh, nice.
So, like, they had a voodoo priestess, and she would, like, do her thing, and me and 3 other girls, I guess, I don't know what you would call us, like, the sacrifice, the temptation, the thing to, like,
to
evoke them. So, like, we're being like sexy dancing in a circle or whatever to like call forth the being. Anywho, so yeah, that's kind of what we did there. That was my other role. Nothing really crazy happened. Would I say did even anything happen? Was there even a being there? I guess it just depends on your beliefs.
Yeah.
So the lady was acting like she was possessed or whatever, but I mean, was it an act? Was it real? I don't know. It was interesting. She would chant her weird voodoo shit and like make noises and shake her maracas. Obviously not what she was doing, but you know what I'm saying. They have like their things that they do. Yeah, so New Orleans, Halloween night. I took part in a voodoo ritual in a Kama Sutra sex club.
Oh man, that's so fucking cool. I'm gonna have that clip right there as a thing that's like just to set aside on my thing, and it's gonna be like voodoo sex club. It's gonna be the name of it.
Yeah, I was sacrificed to a being.
Well, Cthulhu's not here unless you're the source of all the chaos right now. That moment you brought Cthulhu into existence.
I don't know. It was too pleasant and happy in that
pleasant.
room. We were having too much fun. There was no destruction. It was a good time. It was fun. It was an experience, and you know, I'm glad I experienced it because
I'll just say this:
cool.
I don't know if I believe in voodoo, but I've met some people that do voodoo, and they give me the EBGBs.
There you go.
Where I'm like, oof, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like before I was defiant, like just no, and I met you and I'm like, oof. There might be something. There's something there, and I don't know if I like it or not. There's a witchcraft store in Birmingham called Books, Beans, and Candles. And Michael, who it's Michael or Michelle? Michelle, who owns it, he just, there's something going on there, and you meet him and you're like he'll know things that you shouldn't know, and you're like, what is, I don't like this. Kind of makes you a little bit like panicky, a little bit. You're like,
He's like psychic or clairvoyant.
Yeah, and his wife is too, and they run the thing. It's actually a really cool place. They have a disclaimer, never been, not against it. But they have a like a BDSM club there called the Red Chair, and like you have to get like initiated, like someone has to invite you in, and like they like test you and all sorts of stuff. I have a friend who's in it, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like in a weird, like I weirdly like it. It's a little strange, but
it's intriguing.
It's intriguing. It's kind of one of those moments where it's like, I want to know.
Yeah,
like
especially when things are like secretive and you need to be initiated and go through that whole thing, and you're not allowed to know about it. You're like, just general curiosity. You're like, I want to know. I need to know. What is it?
If I go down this path, will I get hurt though?
What would they do to me?
What would they do to me?
Is it worth it?
Will I
let them do that to me just to know?
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing with like aliens or like fairy lore, and like if I ever meet them and they're like, if you want to know, you can come with us and you can know. I'm like, but what are you gonna do to me?
We'll show you, but at a cost.
What's that cost? You don't know till you do it.
Yeah, you don't know.
And I'm like, oh. That's gonna be a no.
Yeah, right.
How many piercings do you have?
Too many.
Too many? Okay. I consider is this snakes or vipers?
I think they're called snake bites when they're
snake bites. Yeah. I considered that when I was going through my almost turning into a fuckboy phase. I came real close. I was like, huh. I considered it the two, you know, like oh. Once I become famous, I'll probably do it so that I can just have them, because I think they look cool.
They do look cool. I've had this since I was like a teenager.
Ah, yeah.
And I still have it.
I have my dates done on both sides.
Okay.
Yeah.
My parents always said she'll grow out of it.
No.
And now I'm an adult, and I'm like, sorry, guys.
Being emo's just a phase. It's not a phase, Mom. Yeah. Same way. I mean, I don't dress, I dress in, I guess, classy goth. I guess
Corporate goth.
Corporate goth is the closest thing that I would do. I would do suits every day if I had like tailor-made suit where it was, like all blacked out, like different shades of black.
There you go.
It. Yeah, I think it looks good. But I do too much activity outside for this, so.
Yeah, that kind of gets in the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doing things in nice clothes is hard.
It's so hard. I'm impressed you made it here and everything looks as good as it does. I would ruin it driving.
I was worried.
You were worried? How far of a drive is it for you?
It's only 10 minutes.
Oh, it's only 10 minutes.
Yeah, so it was
okay.
Anything crazy.
Randy lives like 30 away, so.
Oh, okay. I don't know where. Oh, he lives far norther than I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just don't know where.
So it's not bad. What nights do you work at the castle? Is it?
It used to be on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
So like Saturdays. Obviously not right now because of
everything shut down.
Corona.
Yeah. Eli and I were gonna go to some. We considered going to the castle.
You guys have to.
Yeah, everything was shut down.
Oh, I know.
Have to invite Peter so you can meet Peter. He is a walking Napoleon Dynamite character.
Oh my gosh.
Like, just so awkward. And so I love him. And like, he's just so awkward. And just, I'm like, how are you this successful in your life when you're this awkward of a person?
Yeah.
Like,
he's got to be really smart.
He is. He has his PhD.
Okay, well, there you go.
So.
Yeah, because you only get somewhere with either charisma or intelligence. And if you don't have either, you're kind of screwed.
You're kind of screwed. And then when you have both, you might be a psychopath. So,
Yeah, and then you're like, dangerous concoction.
Mm-hmm. You're dangerous to society. No, he's straight up. No, he's so awkward. I'm like, I love him. He's so awkward. I'm like, I love you. He's a good person. We'll have to when everything opens back up.
Yeah, you guys have to go. It's so fun, and we can dress up and be goth.
Yeah, do hardcore goth. That was Eli and I's plan to go to the dungeon, all gothed out.
Yeah.
And we said we were gonna look for a vampire boy. We're like, okay. And I was like, yeah, we'll get bit. That's okay. Yeah, we're at about an hour and 20.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had fun with this one.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll have to come back again.
Okay.
And we'll do it again. I'm gonna keep a list of people, and then what my plan is to do is like in the year, like have a certain percentage that I redo,
Oh, okay.
And so just kind of like hey, and if I actually turn into something, I can kind of hopefully carry along the people I like into, something. So, yeah. This is BullRun Podcast. Go to the Abyss. Click the links. The Abyss. That's what I call the comments in the
Abyss. I like that.
Yeah, because I'm like, it's just down below.
You get lost in the abyss.
Yeah, get lost in the abyss.
The sea of words of nonsense.
Yes. and it's also the place I put the links and stuff. So anything below the video, I call the Abyss. Go to the Abyss. I'll put Dee Dee's page in the comments. And you have an Instagram or anything like that?
Yeah, I'll give you those links and stuff.
Yeah, do that.
You can look at my outfits and my makeup.
Oh man, when everything opens back up again, go to the chapel. Castle. We have
you should go to the chapel too.
We have
Jesus.
No, we have a chapel in Birmingham.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
that's what the club is there.
Yeah, there's a gay leather bar called the chapel there. So
yes, that's awesome.
It used to be called Spikes, then it was the chapel. It looks like a church that came from hell.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's cool.
I love that. It's like the aesthetic.
Yeah, it's super aesthetic. I'll show pictures of it to you in a little bit. But yeah, go to the Abyss, click the links, and like, subscribe, and comment. Bye.
Nice talking to you. And you.